Welcome back to the GLAC Studios oil painting tutorial. We are in the Radha Krishna painting. We have been doing a bit of research into the kind of references we want to pick up, and then um, we have already started with the planning and plotting on the canvas. So let's just quickly summarize what we have learned so far, what we have done so far. So, the first two sessions were more about the canvas itself, how to prepare them, and so on. And then we did spend a lot of time into the references, understanding the references, preparing them. So, we are able to strategize and plan effectively. Um, the last two sessions really were on this canvas. Uh, we have done the grids, we started working on the grids, and the last ever session was an intense session where we had to, come back to working on this grid, especially on the face of both the key characters. So that's what we had done. And right now, we are going to continue with that. So, what is left over here is that we have the hand of Radha to be done, and the other hand of Krishna to be done to do the upper section. So that's what we need to do, and then we will have to come to the midsection where the hip is, and also the section where the foot, um, the legs are going, and where the clothes are flowing through. So there's quite a bit for us to work on today. um, and the method is the same. We don't change anything about the painting, the colors or so. It's the same. I haven't taken anything more than what you have already seen in on my palette. I still have the same. I still don't see the need to take anything more. For ones that are looking at it for the first time, this is burnt umber from Winsor and Newton, and I do have a zero brush that I'm using to um, sketch. I do have a little bit of oil with me. I'm not seeing the need for it much. Um, at this stage, no. I have tissue paper with me, and also cotton a earbud to just rub off things when they are going wrong or something. Otherwise, it's pretty much simple today as well. Let's jump right into the work. So right now, I'm getting started with the aspect of where I am. What does that mean? I'm just reviewing what I have done so far and see if there is any error or something that I'll have to fix. Um, for now, if I do a overall check, things don't seem that big of an error. Maybe slightly the hair here um, could have been done better on Krishna's shoulder, and I'm seeing that I missed to do the hair that is flowing from Radha's, the knot on her head. So there's still some hair flowing around and coming down to her shoulders. So I want to do that, mark that. I think pretty much that's it here. And right now I'm ready to work on the hands. So I'm looking at Radha's hands first to work on. So when I see where exactly it is in E and F, and we know the numbers here, maybe I could put it again for us here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. Back down. We don't need to go down. We're just focusing on this section. So we are in E. Basically, E and F will be our first target areas to cover the hand. Mhm. And lucky for us, we do not have anything to work on in E1, F1. E2 is also really empty. F2 has the hand. That's where the hand is. Just maybe I'm just scratching it without much of so when I see where the hands are, I'm just trying to scratch things without much of oil or paint with my hands to just see where things are. And then I can see this is where Radha's hand is going to be coming out here and ebbing out here. So I see that angle there. I haven't done much in terms of painting, so just a tiny scratch that I make. So just for me to feel comfortable. That's also another style. I have seen people who are just blocking places without drawing and then starting to sketch. That's also a very good method to work with. I don't necessarily do that, but I just want to see where things are. That's it. I think I have a fair idea right now. I'm back to her, close to her shoulder. I think we worked on her armpit, and then I want to just work on her back slightly. This is where her back is. And the blouse. And I can see that this is also where I said, we are missing some aspects of it. Maybe because we printed it off in the black and white, we'll have to revisit the color version of it to see a little more of what we see here. But then we are missing something here, I can tell. But I have the angle. That's what I needed so that it supports me in working with the angle of the arm here, coming out from the armpit. That's why I needed that. So right now I am back here with her working on the blouse, and I can see that this is where the curve of her, the cut of the blouse is coming, and then we continue with the hand here. Okay, I see this is where the elbow is. We'll have to just come out here. Huh? This is a thicker. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to see if it fits her face. Yeah, it doesn't. I can tell clearly. So I'm going to rework. I'm just going to rub off. So it's also essential while we are working on the hand and the angles, it's also essential that we are crossing and checking, cross-checking how we are doing with the elements overall. Yeah. So I can see that this is exactly how the thickness of the blouse is here, and if we are continuing here, the arm kind of comes into an angle here, and then you have a slightly subtle and thin arm stretching out here. Yeah? Fair enough, and it kind of matches the profile of the woman that we have here. Yeah. So I can see that that's how it's going. It's going and touching here. From 4, it grows out to 3. We cannot see this arm because there's a lot of flowers and so many things happening. But then the important aspect is that she's got a lot of bangles in her hand. I don't want to work into the details, but I just want to mark them here and see, where it ends. That's how she's got so many, bangles here. Come to the close of it. This is where it stops, kind of. And then I begin to see where the arm is. And if you look at the way she's held it, the little finger is stretching out. It's beautiful. So she's got her hand like this. And the fingers are folded around the rope. And then the little finger is stretching out. That's nice. That makes sense. Kind of. Yep. Now we have her hand. Good. So the angle where the rope is around here, isn't it? So that's coming across, and the rope is coming across here. That's why we see all the flowers, and so on. Fair enough. So in the same angle, you will have the angle of Krishna's hand as well, isn't it? So I'm going to now work on Krishna's hand. And where do I start? It's a good idea to go back to that shoulder length that we had. So his hand is really wrapped around her, behind her. But if you were to draw, then it's right here. And the elbow should be somewhere over here, behind her chest. So the angle comes out of this way. We should always be able to align and understand that logic, even though we're not going to paint that part of it. Yeah, then it makes sense for me to come back and start the hand here. Let's look at the thickness of the arm, because it has to be matching the thickness of the arms here. So I'm using my hand to use, fingers to measure that thickness. Kind of, it works. So I think I'm in the right direction. Mm-hmm. I feel that there is one proportion error missing here. That is causing all the ambiguity, and I'm trying my best to gauge that. This finger, Radha's little finger, I'm just checking versus, in terms of the length, where exactly is it? It's somewhere close to the ear, her earlobes. So if it has to just lift up slightly, then we are looking at a slightly different angle. Not too much. So I'm going to adjust it while it is still there. And let's do that angle as well and see what happens. And then Okay, so I'm having both the angles that I'm correcting. It's kind of crazy, but it gives us that perspective of where things are, and there goes the finger up. So I can see the correction. So I'm going to rub off that noise in terms of the color. So if I have to come back to that little finger there, up, and then her hand here, the bangles marked here, her folded fingers, and the arm coming here. Still making sense? The size makes sense? Fair enough. Once we have corrected that, then it helps us connect the angle of Krishna's hand as well. So I'm coming back to rubbing off that. It's slightly a millimeter. It's a matter of millimeter difference, but it does make a difference. That's exactly where we are trying to see how it connects. So if I have to just increase that millimeter angle, that goes a lot here in terms of the angle of his hand. Yeah, slightly. And you can see that the way he is holding, I think I need to just have it very close to me. The way he is holding his the part of that rope is that he's just got his hand like this, grabbed around. So you can see that when you grab in the opposite direction, there's this muscle tension and so on, but you don't see the muscle tension here, but you'll see that the grip is strong. So I'm just trying to see where that angle is going. So you see, hmm. I'm just doing the fingers, the way it's clasping the rope, and I see that it is really in the angle that is in alignment with Radha's hand. So that is fair enough for me now. And I see this is where the angle of the hand is, which means that's how we see the rest of the arm. And it's also, in between, it's hidden because of the flowers and so many things. But if we have to look at our own hand, the way the press is, there is this tension, and there is this. Yeah, I'm just looking at my own hand to see. Sometimes, it's also good that we try to redo that. So I'm grabbing my own. Can I grab something better so that I could show you? Let's imagine this is the rope. I'm grabbing it for myself to see how it is. So I learned from it. If I have grabbed it like this, you see, yeah, you see a bit of um, this part of my arm and the way that I have grabbed it. And because my hand is towards me, my body, but in this case, Krishna's hand is just across. So it's something like this. Yeah. So you see the tension. So you see that what do you call the nerve coming through like that. So that's there, but that is missing because we don't get to see that, because that's where Radha's hand is hiding that movement. Yeah. So we have a lot going on there. I'm just trying to see if we are able to make some practical adjustments to it, even though we might not be using all of it because a lot of components are coming, the rope for example, and so many things are coming across, so we might not need it, but still I would prefer that we know how we are building that. Just like the way we thought, where the elbow should be, and is it making sense that the hand is like this and so on. So that's what it is. And I think the arm can thin down a bit here. I'm going to just take off some of the paint from this side. I'm looking at the overall angle and I'm okay with it for now. Yes, I'm okay with it. There's also some armbands in his hand that are visible. What do we see here around the hip area? So I would expect that there is this blouse coming to a close here, somewhere over here, and then we get started with her hip area slightly close to where the garland is. That's where we are. Yes. So if we come back down, the garland seems to be easy. So can we continue on that journey and see where it goes? Let's take the easier path. That's where it is. And this one hangs on. It's from D through E. Yeah, connecting somewhere down the lane. Yes. And I see that on the other side of the garland, I'm just making the circles or the curves of that garland, not doing too much. So this is where we see that the hip isn't represented very clearly because it's just hidden by so many factors here. And the rest of her sari is also flowing along, isn't it? We can do the flow. So it's flowing from, you can see that it's starting to flow through here. So we are in F4. Near her hand, that's where the curves are, and it keeps on flowing through. Yeah, F5. And that's where we cannot see more of that because there are flowers and so many structures. So that's the path, the flow of her drape here. The rest of her sari, that's called pallu in Hindi. The part of the sari that is, coming off the shoulder from behind. Yes. So we have done that, and let's now come back to focusing on their hip areas, which isn't super clear here. I think I'm going to need the help of my magnifying glass to see where things are a little better. And in case you already have the printed material, or if you have this soft copy, you can look at it. I can see. Okay, I can see the places slightly better now, and this is where there is another element to it. So now I'm going to open this up as a file for you. Let's see. So there is another element here that we are not able to see clearly. Possibly some a part of the jewelry, and also a lot of things to do with the drape that isn't so clear. One thing we could do is that we will simplify and bring the sari down. Yeah, bring the sari to the area, and also show a little bit of the hip area, the way the blouse is built and so on, a tiny bit of the hip area, and also the curve. Um, yes, the curve where the hip is. That's exactly where I was also a little bit confused when we started off. Yeah, I could see that again here. See, the curve of the hip is where I am. We can see the curve of the hip. It's right through here. So there is some clarity. It's not that it's completely unclear. There is some clarity, but then there's a lot of elements going right through that isn't helping us focus much on it. And also the fact that the cloth, the drapery could have flown in that angle. That could also be a reason. So let's come back to the painting, and let's come back to marking. So I'm just going back to this, highlighting the screen, bringing the screen to the front. So I am now back with this um, area. Now that's a little bit more clear to me on where the hip is. So I'm going to work on that area that is a little clear. That is E5 to me is slightly more of what do you call, a clear curve of her back. I'm going to do that right through the garland. So I'm coming out here, and it is crossing the grid here where, okay, can you see that we are the curve itself can be slightly more than what we are doing, because the hip angle isn't so good. So I would like to do a little more here. A little more slightly. So we're able to build that seat. And from here, this is where from E3, the sari drape on her front started through D4. It's coming down here into D4. And that's where I said the clarity was missing, but we are going to develop that through D5. So bringing it down like this, and saying that it's It's going towards that angle. Again, the angle is definitely mattering a lot here because this is where we are. So remember, we said there is this bust line here, and then her body line should be here, which means this is her thigh line that is coming on this direction from C. So it's from D4 to C5 cross, going across. Yeah. And where is this thigh going? If I have to just forget about the details and work on the thigh, I would say it is touching the corner of the grid here. So I'm going down and I can see that the camera needs to be adjusted slightly a bit. So you are able to see a little more. That's where it's going. Does this angle make sense overall to the positioning of her body? It is propped up and it is in a swinging position. Yep. So far, so good. It isn't the best, I can say. But at this stage, I would also say that this is kind of okay for overall sketching. Okay, so that's where the kneecap is. So we're having her. Now this explains why. So if you look at the way the hips are positioned, so now this is her shoulder positioning, this is her hip positioning, isn't it? So her hip is positioned this way, and that's how it's making sense. Her thighs are going this way. Yeah. So let's do the other thigh as well. So it's here, and it is close to this C corner of the grid C5, coming out of C5. For me, it makes total sense. So which means ideally her body and her thighs are hiding much of Krishna's left leg. That is the ideal position. So that's where the angle is missing. But whoever wanted to work on this wanted to show his left leg also clearly. So that's the reason why this angle went for a toss. Not totally, but slightly. Yeah, I could see that. So that could be an easy error that I will do. Yeah, I will do that. If I started, so the easiest way is if I have to repeat what they did. So the easiest way is that this how. Okay, this is the angle of her leg, and I'm just paralleling the angle of her leg to his leg, and bringing it down like this. So let's do this, and I will mark it in another color. I have a bit of vermilion with me. Let me mark that as well. So I'm doing this, even though I wouldn't do it. I'm doing this just for the sake of repeating, because I promised I will repeat. Yeah, so I'm just repeating it. Yeah, but that's exactly how errors happen. Yes. So let's now. I'm going to push this, slide the body of the canvas slightly up so you're able to see the whole section 6, 7, and 8 of the rows coming up. Now you're not able to see the upper body. Can you see that error right through? So you see the navel area, and then Say, that's where the hip angle is. If that's where the hip angle is, this leg is slightly off here, isn't it? I'm going to do it in another color. That's what I promised. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. Gonna do it in. I have a vermilion with me left over from some previous work. If I have to just pick up and show, I have a vermilion light, and that's exactly what is left over in my palette that I'm going to use just for the sake of showing you the angle that I would go for. Yeah. Okay. So this is the angle that I will go for. So I see that his hip is right here, and I'm seeing the cloth right here. So it goes up and up and up towards his hip. So that's exactly where the hip is. And if the hip is there, then I'm looking at the angle of his leg this way. And of course, there are too many elements hiding the angle of the leg. There is a drape. There is this uh, accessory or jewelry on the hip. That can be, I can copy that in the regular burnt umber for you. Sorry. So right here, this is fine for me. I wouldn't mind that. This angle is where I feel it has to be. Yeah. So I'm coming back to the leg of Radha. So if she is seated in this angle and her thighs are going this way, cannot see much of the thigh, isn't it? It's all the cloth that is flowing through. But this is where you see the thigh, yeah? And that's where the thigh is. And because of that, what happens? There is this angle that is coming. They are in the swing, obviously. So there is this knee bend that's coming through, and her leg is here, crossing and coming down to going to move it slightly this way, and one more step up. Right, good. So you see her leg is here. Mm-hmm. If we were to just draw the leg and forget about the drape, we'll have to do that a little bit so we know, how the angles are coming. Yeah, that's where the angles are, and her ankle should be here, foot should be here. Okay, we've got it. Let's do this properly. So there is this cloth that is hiding her part of her foot. We don't see much of it, but I can do this part. And is that clear enough for your view? Bring this slightly down. Yes. Okay. That is clear enough for your view. And we saw that the leg is almost coming close to touching the tip of this grid, but I want to stop short. Remember, I said I'm going to do a slight correction so that the foot of Krishna is also coming to the right angle and so on. I'm going to just stop slightly short, even though I see that, it could be here. I'm going to stop slightly short. And that's a bigger toe. That's a small one, smaller ones. And okay. That's the angle and the angle of the jewelry in her foot. This needs to be fixed a bit for me. This isn't right, but still we could fix it slightly. Okay, so we have this right, and now I'm going to work on the drape. Just before working on the drape, what is that pending? The other leg that is folded here. All right. Going to make a slight correction here to just sharpen this angle a bit. Yes, that's fair enough. All right, now the drape or the cloth that is her skirt. Yeah. So it is starting to flow through in angles coming from this way. So we are in D. We are in, D6, going through that and finishing up here. Yes, we are really close to finishing this up with the sketching. So let's just go. It might go slightly close to an hour or a little more, but we will be fine, I guess. Yes. So we are back to working on the skirt. So I'm not going to work into too much of details. I'm just looking at E, where the flowing of the skirt is. I'm just going down through E and seeing that it's just flowing through in so many layers. I'm just doing the basic move of the flow up and down, whatever, of her skirt, and then the way it is swinging around, connecting it to her leg. Yeah. And then I could do a little bit of this curve. Where is it coming from? These angles. Not too much, but just some of these angles that could help us. Yeah. In the process. So we have that. So now we go back to the leg where we wanted to make an adjustment. In terms of the height, this leg really fits fine where the way it is stopping short in down here. And right now, it fits her body length and everything perfectly fine. So let's look at the angle that was suggested here of his leg, the way it is going. And definitely there is this, missing piece of where is the knee. It's suggestive that it's somewhere in the 6B. That's where it is, and it's showing how it's coming down here and close to her leg. This is the actual angle that I'm trying to scratch through, but not painting much. This is the actual angle from the picture. And let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the vermilion to work on the angle that I am motivated to work on. Yeah, so I see this angle of his knee coming down like this. So it's slightly off, but it also comes. So this is the original line, and this is where I want to bring it down to. And again, the foot actually comes very close, tightly close, that you cannot see much of the difference between that. So there is some slight distance, or you can see a gap between the foot. But when I do it this way, I'll have the foot coming. I'm going to move this out of the way so you could see better. And I'm moving this camera angle also slightly down. You could see better of where I am. Yeah. All right. So this is the angle that I propose. And I want the knee. And I'm looking at the overall length of the from the hip to the knee, and I see that that's almost there when I just gauge it with my fingers. I'm convinced that the angle should be here. Okay, so that's where his drape comes to an end. The cloth comes to an end, and the leg, of course, the leg itself isn't an error. I'm not following the principle of where exactly is it in A8. It is in A8, but the way it is, it's going to be slightly towards the corner of A8 and somewhere in B8 also. That's what I see, in terms of the change. So I have the foot done here, the thumb, or the toe, the biggest toe here, the small fingers coming up here. And that's why his leg is kind of totally close to her leg, almost, touching each other. And the foot accessory. This is my angle. And few other changes that I said I wanted to do is that this drape that you have, I said that I wouldn't go for this drape, so I would go for there is this cloth in between. That is fine. So I'm going back to the brown. There is a cloth in between that is a part of the clothing that they wear. Okay, fine. So I'm doing the swing, and I just have eyeballed where the swing is. It's in D, going through E. It's really in 6. The row 6 dominates that place where the swing is, and I'm just connecting that thin line going across. So I'm just seeing where it is going up, and I will move the camera up shortly for you to see. So once I'm done with this, I think I'm convinced with this angle. Yeah. So it's time for you to also come slightly up along with me. And oh yeah, wow, yes. So right now we are just seeing where this angle is taking us. Yeah. So the angle of the swing, the rope in the swing, is somewhere over here, crossing through, crossing through the hand and coming where they have gripped it, and that's how it's going through on the top. Fair enough, not too much work, but then we've got it. We can do it again to just be a little more clear on those lines, seeing where it is. Yes. So that angle is done. Can we repeat the same way on the other side? So we did start off somewhere, drawing the line. It's close to his knee, coming out here. That's where the hand is. That's where we are. So we have managed to do the important aspects of the painting. This has been slightly intense as compared to what we did in the previous session. It's not that intense, but still it was intense from the point of view that we were rethinking on some of those directions um, that wasn't agreeable. So I think we are done with the plotting section of this artwork. So let's summarize what we have learned today. So today we started off halfway. We hadn't done uh, the shoulder and the hands of Krishna and Radha on this side. So we started off there. Of course, there was a lot of confusion about it in the beginning, but we arrived there, and then we did the yeah, we did the hip and then the thighs and bringing it down to the legs. That's where I also said that there is the slight angle that I would do. So I drew the angles that I would choose in red so that you could see why I am proposing something slightly different. So you'll see that the hip angle is just even more, um, you know, um, curved, and thereby the leg angle isn't exactly where um, the painting actually shows where it is, the reference shows where it is. So we did that and we came down to doing the foot also inside our block, though it isn't showing us inside our block in the picture. So we finished the plotting. This is a good place for us to start also to reworking anything that you would like to do, because it is really nothing that goes perfectly into it right now, and it's not a final stage, it's definitely the first stage. So it's good time for us to change things around if we want, or adjust anything around. For me it looks okay. I will revisit before I get started with the next layer. So I'm so glad that you have reached this far, and if you've already done something better, this is so good. Congratulations to you on that. um, we do have a lot of details to work on, yes, but right now we are just looking at the basics. From the basic point of view, do we have the superstructure of the key characters available, and the element that is holding the key characters, that's a swing, that's also in place or not, and it satisfies our requirement for now. So we are done. Thank you very much for following through. Congratulations if you have reached this far. It's a first step in the right direction. Yes, we have many more steps to go through, but I'm sure you will reach there along with me. So thank you very much again and have a nice evening. Bye bye.